Welcome to Crossroads and Cauldrons. We are two witches with jobs, families, and busy lives just like you. We talk about weaving the web of community, practicing magic, and life in the Deep South. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Sellena.
And I'm Luna.
And you're listening to Crossroads and Cauldrons podcast.
Ooh.
Yay, look at the weather.
How gorgeous.
Finally.
Sweater weather.
It's, right? Almost. So close. Well, you have a sweater
It was this
on.
morning.
I know. Oh my God, it's so nice to come out.
It was 43 when I got up.
And it's not 3,000 degrees.
I know.
I could use a little rain though. My plants are looking
It
real
is a little dry.
droopy. I just don't want to come out and water them.
Mm. Well, last time we were on here, we were complaining about how much rain we were
I
in.
know. Well, it had been raining for 3 weeks.
I had.
I just need like some balance.
Yeah.
If I could just get a little
We're going
rain,
from
like
one
once a
extreme to the
week,
other.
let's have a rain. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, Hurricane Ian just sucked it all out of the atmosphere.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's been a crazy situation.
It really has.
My husband was looking at pictures where it had literally sucked all the water out of
I was watching
Tampa
it at work
Bay.
that day that it came through.
Oh my
and
God.
oh my God.
It's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad. So I hope
is.
that all our listeners in Florida are safe and have power and
Our thoughts and our hearts are with y'all.
Yes.
You know how it is.
We-
We lived through Katrina here, and
Yeah.
we're with y'all.
yes. So please be safe. I feel like our hurricane season is just going to be later this year. Like I feel like we're going to keep on hurricaning on through the winter more.
You can go on.
Right? You're not having that? Luna says no.
No, not this
Sorry,
year.
hurricane season. What else has been going on? We've had a lot going on. I'm trying to remember what we discussed the last time we were on the show, but I don't remember. So, I'll just talk about what we've been doing.
Okay, let's do that.
So, I am super excited about our Samhain festival that's coming up.
What's going on?
Oh my gosh. So, this has actually been in the works since like May.
Mm-hmm. I know it has.
And, you know, we've been doing like all the outlines of rituals and classes, and it's a lot. Putting together like a festival, even a small one, which this is a small one.
It's a big job.
It's a huge job. So people who do that all the time, wow. I hope you have a really good team. So I have a really good team. It's a small team, but it's a good team. So we're in the process of it's on now. Like registration is open. People are signing up. We have limited space. So if you're wanting to come, get your tickets. We're going to put a link in the show thingy things, and you've probably seen it on our social media here and there. But yes, get your tickets because we don't have, we have a limited amount of seats available.
Okay.
But it's going to be awesome. We've got some vendors. We've got some excellent presenters. If I do say so myself.
You're not presenting.
I am. I'm teaching a class. I am.
Shocker.
But not just me. There are others as well. We're going to have a bonfire. Like, bring your drums, bring your tambourine.
Bring in the drum.
Bring your flute.
Bring in the drum.
Whatever it is. We're going to have a bardic circle. So we've got a storyteller that's coming.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she's fantastic. Super fantastic. Like, I wish I had this talent. I'm gonna develop this talent, but yeah, she's coming, and she is out of New Orleans. Her name is Ashara Mayhem.
Oh, cool.
And she's coming to do some storytelling around the campfire while we like eat. And
I love her anyway.
she's a great person, and we're going to just hang out after everything is done.
It's gonna be so fun.
I know. I
Is
can't
it gonna
wait.
be an all day thing, or is it
Yes.
just gonna be in
Well,
the
we're going to
afternoon?
start at noon.
Okay.
Like the gates are going to open at noon. There's going to be just like vendor time, social time, getting registered time. And then we'll do our opening circle will be at 1. And then classes start at 2. And we're just going to keep going after that. There'll be another class. And then there'll be some like vendor social time before the evening ritual. Evening ritual, I believe, starts at 6:30.
Okay.
And then it should be right at sunset. Like, it should be just getting dark about that time. And then we'll have our ritual, which is going to be fantastic. I'm
It never
super
disappoints.
excited about the look, y'all have not experienced this level before because I haven't had the space, but now I do.
Okay.
So it's going to be fantastic. You do not want to miss this ritual. And then we're going to have our bonfire and storytelling and food and a little boom, boom, boom.
Bum, bum, drums.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yay.
It's going to be fun.
I'm excited too. And we're going to be, the proceeds from this event is going to help us bring in, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're trying to get Paul Rowan to come in and do a weekend-long, like 3-day ritual drumming workshop. And I'm excited about that. So this is going to help fund that and get him here and hopefully create more opportunities for us to bring in speakers and presenters and have more stuff like this. Yeah, I'd like to have bigger, events as things unfold for us. So
I love it.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. So come if you want. If it wasn't in your plans to come to Mississippi in November, change your plans because this is going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be outside too. I love.
My nose is itchy. I don't know
Are
what's
you gonna
blooming.
be okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what's blooming right now, but it is aggravating fire out of my nose.
I don't know either.
I think there's a lot of goldenrod out here right now.
Oh, probably so.
A lot of people have been sneezing.
All the ragweed type stuff starts. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, older I get, something new pops up every year. Oh well.
Isn't that exciting
just
though?
One more thing.
You just never know what it's going to be.
Just one more thing.
Does something else leave or does it just add
No, it just adds to it.
Okay, well.
Nothing ever leaves.
Well. That's exciting. So I'm excited about Samhain. I just got back from a little weekend visit with our former co-host, Aoife, in her new home, which is gorgeous. So that was a lot of fun. I haven't seen her in this many years, 3 years. I haven't seen her face in all that time.
I know.
And that's unacceptable.
She looked great in the pictures.
She always looks great. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's working on some projects that I got to look at, so that was exciting.
That's cool.
We just mostly lounged around, which
and you went to eat.
I don't generally do. So we watched a bunch of movies and ate everything in Lafayette. And there's no food left there. I feel bad. I don't feel bad actually. It was so good. So that was nice. It was nice. Mm-hmm. And then just immediately back to work.
So you were in Lafayette, Louisiana?
I was.
Okay. Did y'all go downtown on Saturday night?
No. Because you know what we were doing on Saturday night? In our pajamas, watching some movies.
Okay.
Because we were so full.
From eating all that good food.
Yeah. It was so nice.
I know.
It was nice. And then what else? What else is going on? I think we already talked about our Maven ritual the last time. Mm-hmm. That was a fun time. Yep. Classes are open. Registration for mystery school classes with me are open. So if you're local and you would like to take Temple of Witchcraft mystery school classes, it is an excellent program. So we might share some stuff about that too. Have we done that already?
I think we did.
We haven't.
No? Sound guy says
but we will. Sorry about that. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, we'll have done that.
Up. Yeah, we could put some info up about him.
What you got going on?
Just working.
You're dressed for spooky season.
I am. I love it. I'm so ready. I'm so excited. October is my favorite month of the year. And Halloween's my favorite holiday of the year. So this month is really big for me.
Oh, yeah. The season of the witch.
I'm excited.
I love October. My mommy was born in October. So she's a Libra. So that was fun. Just growing up. Yeah. No, but so her birthday is coming up. So actually, by the time this comes out, her birthday will have been just a few days ago. So happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
And October.
I know.
October. How is it? Also, how is it already October of 2022?
It's already October.
Yeah, it's right now. It's happening.
It feels like it was January.
Last week,
a little while ago. Yeah,
I know.
This year has just flown by.
This year's been so damn busy. Like,
we've had to do catch up from COVID for the last 2 years.
That's
everybody's
true.
playing catch up. Yeah,
and I think we're doing a lot of like overlapping. Like, we started doing all kinds of online stuff during COVID. And now it's like we want to go back to in-person stuff, but still maintain that level of online presence. And it's just like, I'm overwhelmed completely.
Double work. Yeah. It's extra work. But that's okay. We get to stay in contact.
Water.
Oh, please don't do that.
I'm drowning. Okay, I'm good. I almost died.
And she coughs up a fur ball.
Hey, you know, I got nothing.
Okay.
That was
yeah,
as
don't
far
go
as my
there.
brain. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do a podcast. You want to?
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about, we're continuing our series on the gifts of the goddess.
Right.
So this time we're talking about the power to cure disease.
Cool.
So that's exciting. It's a longer than that. It's the power to cure disease of the mind, body, heart, and soul. So think about that. Okay. And I think, so these powers of the witch, or these gifts of the goddess, again, if you haven't been paying attention to the whole series, which, go back, give it a listen. These are the powers, these sort of innate powers that you see as a witch when you are starting to recognize your skills and abilities. Or, you know, you'll often have everybody has that grandma who could, like, cure warts and things like that, right? You got that grandma.
I did.
Yeah, but I mean, she wouldn't call herself a witch, probably.
No, but
her partner might call her that.
Yeah.
But we would recognize that ability as something that we would consider witchcraft, as healing. So these are some of the skills that are blessings of the goddess. These are, they're things that everybody can tap into and everybody can awaken in themselves just as a human, but not everybody has that interest. So, but if you kind of have that interest and you're drawn to healing or you know, things like that, you may be a witch.
You might be.
Think about it. It could be something that could be happening. But anyway, so the power to cure disease. So some of this is just natural, like you said, the ability to. Well, you didn't say that. I said that. Like I said, you have somebody in your family that can cure warts or that can do
cold remedies.
Yeah, cold remedies, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's all different ways that the power to heal sort of shows itself. And it's not just physical healing. And I think that's what is the difference between some of your... I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Just keep listening because I'm gonna bring it back around. Just healing of the body, you know, just like going to the doctor, that sort of thing. I would not necessarily consider... I'm fixing to shoot my mouth off. Hold on. It'll come back around. I would not necessarily consider a medical doctor as necessarily a healer in this context. They can be. They can be. And they've definitely studied the body and things like that. But they're working with the mechanical aspect of healing more so than this... Hello, bird. More so than the spiritual aspect of healing. Okay.
Right.
So, witches can do both of those things as well. But a lot of the healing that we do comes from energy healing, you know, like balancing the energy. So a lot of times we perceive disease as an imbalance somewhere in the body. Something's out of whack, basically, is when disease presents itself. Something is not either energetically flowing properly or physically something mechanically is off. Yeah. So that's the way we perceive disease. So in order to, you know, fix that, there's all sorts of different ways we can do it. And there are energy healers that work with opening the any places where there are blockages in the flow of energy through the body. Closing places where the energy is moving too quickly, just balancing out the flow of energy,
Right.
So that's one method of healing, and often, and not always. So I understand that there's chronic disease, there's just God, I'm gonna hurt feelings. I'm not trying to hurt feelings. There are differently abled people, and that's not. I don't consider that a disease or a sickness or something that needs to be healed. That's your baseline. That's where you're balanced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can come with all sorts of difficulties. But what I'm saying as far as healing is when you're out of your normal alignment, out of what's balanced for you. So that balance is different for every person.
Right.
So just to be very clear on that. But, and I'm not saying that if you're experiencing illness that it's your own fault because you're not thinking right. I am not saying that.
No.
So, no. But if there is something that's out of balance, a lot of times it will eventually trickle down and express physically. And it could be coming from, it could be an emotional thing. It could be a mental thing, stress. Stress does horrible damage to the body.
Right.
And how does that work? Because energetically, it's starting to have an impact on your physical body. Right. And for most people, they don't necessarily recognize that there's a problem at all until they start having physical symptoms, because that's the body's way of saying, hey, something's wrong.
Enough. Yeah.
Yes. So really finding the root, and often just treating the physical symptoms is not actually repairing the cause of the damage.
Right.
Which is a lot of why I feel like our healthcare system in America is so crazy, because we divide everything, and it's like your heart problem could have, could be stemming from somewhere else in the body or in these other parts of yourself that medical doctors aren't necessarily looking at, or they're so specialized that they're only looking at one thing and not the interrelationship.
Right.
But anyway, so directing, figuring out the root of the issue is a big part of the healer's work, and just sort of opening the way for healing to flow through, for energy to flow. And a lot of times we do that work. We work with plants, so you have herbalists that can literally have chemical changes in the body that can help facilitate healing. So that's really what, healers are not healing you. They're opening the way for you to heal yourself.
Right.
They're creating the environment, the best possible conditions for your body to do what it does, So it's not like in the movies where they're like, you're healed.
Right.
It's not like that. But even when we're working with like plants and things like that, you can produce chemical changes in the body that can help with mechanical imbalances. But you can also work with the spirit medicine of the plant itself, and that can help shift the energy of your body. You're bringing in essentially another spirit that's helping facilitate that healing as well.
Right.
So that's a lot of what is happening when you go and you receive energy healing, or even like acupuncture and things like that. It's opening the flows of energy in different ways.
Right.
And like Reiki, everybody's a Reiki master. Everybody I know is like a Reiki master teacher, because it's easy to learn. You just open yourself up to that flow, and you learn the symbols, and it works because it's basically turning on a faucet. You've accessed this flow of energy that helps balance and create opportunity for your body to heal itself. It just gives you a boost. It's like I don't know, it's like an immune system boost. It's like a physical boost. It just helps bring in some outside energy to help you rebalance yourself, essentially. So that's what you're getting. If you're going to a healing facilitator, they are going to be basically opening the space for yourself to heal. Now, you have to be an active part. You have to be an active participant in your healing. You can go to a healing facilitator, and they can create these conditions for you, and they can give you herbs, and they can give you flower essences, and they can give you spells and rituals, things like that too. Can ceremony, healing rituals, they can help you. Same thing, open the way for healing, bring in the energies that are going to help facilitate that healing. It's like getting all your resources together, but you actually have to do the healing work.
Right.
They can make you feel good for a while, but it's not going to last if you are not an active participant in that. You know what I mean? It's like, and this happens. This happens a lot. People, particularly non-magical people that come to the witch. Your shingle's out, right, on your door. They're coming to you. They're like, the witch, excellent. And you give them the prescription, right? It's not really a prescription. Disclaimer: we are not medical doctors. Okay. But you tell them, okay, this is your problem. This is what we're gonna do. You have to do this. You have to actively participate in this way. You have to light this candle. You have to take this potion. You have to do whatever it is. And then the person doesn't do the thing. Okay. And they come back. And it's like, my first question is, did you do the thing that I told you to do the last time you were on my door? And if the answer is no, I'm like, come back when you've done that thing.
Yeah.
Because they're not interested in their healing. And I'm not going to be more invested in your healing than you are.
Right.
You know, it's never going to work because they have to participate. So if you are a healer, you already know what I'm talking about. These people. But anyway, but that really is one of the vocations of the witch, is to offer healing. It's an active service to the community. You know, often the village witch was the wise woman, the cunning person, the person who had a knowledge of herbs, the person who had a knowledge of spirits, the person who, you know, had a knowledge of energy and knew the symbols. So that's very much an archetype of the witch, and it's not everybody's calling. Not everybody is considers themselves a healer or is called to do healing work. But it is one of the major archetypes of the witch, and people will expect you to be able to do that, even if that's not your calling.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're on any sort of witchcraft or pagan social media, about every single day there are healing requests going up. And that's what people are asking for. They're asking for energy to facilitate that healing. And, you know, sometimes even just reaching out and asking for help is an act of being involved in your own healing process. Because that's not easy, and especially not for everyone. It's not easy for me.
Right.
At all. I'm working on that.
Are you?
I'm not succeeding, but I'm working on it. But yes, it's very difficult for me to ask for help. So I get that, and that can be part of the healing process is reaching out and asking for help.
Yep.
But yeah, we definitely see that as one of the vocations of the witch. And often by the time someone is coming to the witch, it's because they've tried everything else.
Everything else.
Now, I say often, but not always. Sometimes that's the first stop. And sometimes that can be because we're in denial. And sometimes that can be because we just want a magical cure and we don't want to really put some effort in. But the times where people are really in crisis, they've tried everything. Yeah. They've gone to every doctor they can think of. They've tried everything. And by the time they're coming to you, especially if you live in the area we live, it's because they're desperate. And so you have to really recognize where people are, you know, in that search for healing, because it's a big responsibility. Yeah. You know, and there are people that are very, I would say, unethical with how they approach that, you know, or they don't recognize how vulnerable people are by the time they're coming to you for witchcraft, for healing. And they will go to energy healers and acupuncturists and things like that before they step on the witch's doormat. Because you're going to give them a potion or some crow legs to, you know, it's going to get weird. But yeah, so that's important to recognize. Another aspect of being a healer as a witch or taking on that role, you will very often, and I'll speak from my own experience and from those that I know, you will very often find that the people who come to you for healing are often people who are experiencing something that you have experienced and that you have processed.
Yeah.
Because now you hold, basically the energetic pattern to unlock that type of healing. And it can be, as a healer, particularly if you're dealing with trauma and things like that, it can bring you to deeper awareness of your own healing process.
Right.
It can trigger you. It can reactivate your own healing path. So you have to be very aware that that can happen and lean into it in those moments. Like when someone comes to you and they've experienced the same trauma that you have been working to heal from, it's an opportunity for you to go deeper with your own healing, and to sort of learn more about that particular process. And it can be very, very difficult. But this is, I don't know, I'm going to hurt my own feelings. There's no way for me to say this without sounding crazy.
Okay.
It can give you a measure of peace with some of your trauma, that you're able to have that awareness that you wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm not saying be grateful for your trauma, even though that's what it sounds like. But it can give you a perspective that you wouldn't have had. And that's difficult. That's why so many people who've experienced trauma just keep their mouth shut, because people around them don't understand. Or they give these sort of half-hearted, kind of bullshit responses. Oh, time heals everything. My grandma.
Yeah. No. Well, it's like, for me, I was the only one in my immediate family that was diabetic when I was diagnosed as diabetic. And that was very difficult because I had no one to talk to about it. And they were going by what the medical doctors were saying. Well, you can't have this, you can't have that, blah, 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 on down the line. But I was also married. I had 2 children at the time. And, I mean, how do you completely change your life within the span of just a few weeks? You don't. It changes over time. And when you have people, and as good-natured and as sweet and as nice and supportive as they're trying to be, if they are not in that situation and dealing with what you had to deal with, they cannot relate, period. So naturally, it would be comforting to find someone who's going through the same shit you are. And I've been through a lot of different things. A lot of us have. And people in your family won't necessarily be able to relate to that. So you look for someone who has been through similar situations, or you happen to come across them, or it's brought up in conversation for whatever reason. And you tend to talk to those people more because you can share how you cope with someone who's been through the same thing that you have, whether it be illness or trauma or, anything. So I can certainly
illness
see
can
that.
be a trauma because
Yeah.
it's a medical trauma is a very big thing. And I think that it's important too to remember that people in your life that don't know what you're going through or what you've experienced really are not equipped to help you or give you good advice. And they're not, it can feel really painful. It can feel like you're not listening, but they literally don't have the ability to hear. They are hearing what they are capable of hearing. And they are not always, but they're often really trying and coming from a place of love. So
yeah, they really are.
It can be difficult to be that person that wants to help and really does not have the tools to help and doesn't know how to find the tools to help. And then the person is angry with you because you don't have those tools. And it took me a long time to to say, hey, look, you don't have these tools.
Yeah.
So you need to shut your mouth because you're not helping.
Yeah. Or I appreciate the energy and the effort that you're putting into helping me, but it's not helping me.
Yes.
And that's a really nice way to put it.
Well, look, and it gets exhausting.
It does. I mean, the person who's actually going through it, they're frazzled and they're stressed to the max
And
because they're trying to
pain.
figure out, a lot of times they're in pain as well, whether physical, mental, emotional, it doesn't matter.
And they probably
even
hear the same
spiritual.
shit.
Yeah.
They probably hear the exact same shit 3,000 times a day. Well, have you tried this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're at the end of their damn rope.
Yeah.
So if they snap at you, just zip it and leave
Yeah.
and bring them food that they can
Yeah.
eat. But yeah, so that's tough. It's tough being.
It is hard.
It's
very
tough
hard.
being on both sides of that particular coin.
Yeah.
But and I think people are, some of the work of witchcraft is actually in seeking what you need. Like sometimes that's where the magic is. Like
Right.
you actually making the decision to set your foot on that path is what activates the power there. And sometimes I feel like we're energetically drawn to those people because I don't advertise my traumas. It ain't
No,
out
I
there.
don't either.
People don't know what they are. But the people who come to me for help consistently have experienced the same thing. So
They're
there's
drawn
an
to that.
energetic component
Yeah, I
that
believe
draws
that.
people to you. So tapping into that, you can sort of feel that flow and you can feed that flow with healing and it's a kind of a wild thing, when you experience it. And another thing that can happen when you are facilitating healing or when you are receiving healing, even if you are facilitating your own healing, is a healing crisis where things sort of get a lot worse before they get better. That often comes in cases where there's a mental, emotional, spiritual trauma that you've been blocking out, that not looking at. And so once you kind of open that door, the floodgates come through. So that's a big part of doing your healing work, is just looking under those rocks and understanding that it can get a lot worse before it gets better. So once you start the process of healing and you're getting what you asked for, especially if you do a rush job, like if you're like, I have this serious thing that needs to be healed in a week. Well, all the same amount of healing is going to still have to happen. Like mechanically, all the same pieces have to knit back together. But you're trying to do it in a short amount of time. So that means that you're going to experience all those symptoms in a more exaggerated way because the work is the work.
Yeah.
So it's often much better, and tell your clients this, and I'm sure if you're doing healing work, you already know this. It's better to do slow and steady. It's better to do long-term, gradual healing, gentle healing, because the speed healing can be traumatic on the body. But I get it. Sometimes it's just got to go, and you're willing to dive off in that deep end, and that's fine. Especially with emotional stuff. Gentle, slow healing. Work on one piece at a time. Lift the rock, let one worm crawl out, deal with that worm, and then go ahead.
like that
You don't have to
analogy.
just burst the floodgates open.
Right.
But often that's what it takes to get the damn gate open in the first place. You just have to throw open the doors.
Yep.
So be careful with that. We've talked about some different kinds of healing, and they kind of all are different ways of facilitating the same idea of unlocking different flows of energy. So we talked a little bit about just like Reiki and energy healing, like hands off energy healing, hands on energy healing. All those different things are lending energy to the person to open the way for the healing to occur. We talked a little bit about herbalism, like working chemically with herbs that can change the chemical nature of your body, like actually affect things. So you have to be super, super careful
Be
with
very
that.
careful with that
Please
kind of
don't just read things on the internet
Yeah.
or even out of a book, or just out of a book. You really, really need to know what you're doing when you're working with that, because there can be all kinds of drug interactions that you're not aware of. My dog is barking. I don't know if we can edit that out, but we'll see what happens. The wind started blowing and my dog was like, it's time for me to yarp. Anyway, but being very, very careful with working with herbs. Don't just read a recipe online or in a spell book or something like that and put it into your body.
Yeah.
You need to understand the chemical reactions between different herbs that you're putting together, between any medications or supplements that you're taking and whatever herb you're trying to put into your body.
Right.
Different preparations have different effects on, the chemical nature. Different parts of the plant have a different chemical nature. Different times that you harvest have a different chemical nature. So don't put anything in your body unless you know what you're doing. I don't know how to stress this more. And do not go to people that you don't know that are going to give you herbs or things like that to put inside your body or on your skin. And don't drink freaking essential oil. Jesus Christ. Okay. Look, I will go on a tangent. I get so sick of I'll just call them out. No, I'm not going to call them out because I don't know. They might hear this video. But certain multi-level marketing companies that sell essential oils, and a lot of times they're fragrance oils and not even essential oils, but they tell you to put them in your damn drink. Do not put lavender oil in your fucking water. Stop it. Just stop. They will be like, put 50 drops in your water every day. Stop it. Stop it. Don't drink essential oils. That's not what they're for. Just stop it. Those companies do not have your best interest in heart. They want your money. The end. Okay, moving forward. Go to a certified herbalist. Look at their papers. Look at who trained them. Look where their papers came from.
There are natural
who you're dealing with.
Natural doctors. What's it called? Natural
homeopathy
or naturopathic doctors that you can go to, and there are even some pharmacies that are compound pharmacies that you can go to, and a lot of them have a lot of knowledge about herbs and things like natural healing. And
by the way, magical properties and medicinal properties are not the same thing. They can be. But they're not always.
Right. They can work they can work together, but they're not the same.
No. And know the difference between elderberries and pokeberries. That's what we get mostly this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. What else? Oh, crystal healing. Yep. That's the same. That's kind of the same work. You're working with the spirit of the crystal. You're working with the crystals have a particular pattern that aligns different parts of your body. You respond to just the crystalline nature of the crystals. So that's why, this crystal's for that crystal's for that. Well, you have to carry them with you, and they do have an impact on your energy systems. They're not, well, I guess they could cause chemical. Okay, also, while we're at it, don't put crystals in your damn water.
Yeah.
Fucking stop that. Girl, I see people putting malachite in their water, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna die.
Don't.
So some stones leach out poison. Some are water soluble. You're pretty well safe with all the quartz families, but also be aware that sometimes companies will dye quartz, and those dyes can seep out into your water. Just stop it. Stop it. Stop. Rocks are not for eating.
Yeah. Wear them. Put them in your pocket.
You can hang them around your water
whatever
bottle.
you need to do, but just keep them out of your water.
Keep them out of your water. And there are all these crystal infused water bottles.
Yeah.
Just y'all, just be careful, okay? There are stones that are perfectly fine to put in your water, but just know what they are, please. Please.
Do your research.
Please.
That's what we're saying. Do your research first.
You know, I
before
didn't
you
even
put
have to have
anything
these
in your
conversations
face.
years ago, but now I do. So here we are.
Well,
So
there's a lot of charlatans out there.
there are a lot. In fact, that's on my list next. I have two things: ethics of healing facilitation, and then fucking scam artists. So
Yeah.
let's take those one at a time.
Okay.
So, ethics of healing facilitation. If you are new to the path within the last year or 2 or 5, you are not ready to be a healing facilitator. And if I hurt your feelings, I am sorry, but that's because you haven't done your healing work is why you're offended. You've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the time to study. You have got to put in your own healing. You got to do your own healing work
Right.
before you are ready to do healing work for other people. And it is not a responsibility that I take lightly. So I implore you that if you are interested in the vocation of healing, that you learn what you're doing before you start working with the public. Because it is a huge responsibility. And you can cause a lot of harm and you can cause a lot of damage to people if you do not know what you're doing. So know thyself, the end. Know thy craft. These are things that we've talked about before. Do it.
Okay.
And let's talk about some scam artists because they are fucking everywhere. And I hate them, precious. But there are so many people online that offer readings and offer healing facilitators will not private message you at all, probably, but definitely not to initiate a conversation.
No.
If they start a sentence with grand rising, run away.
Yeah.
Run away. If someone approaches you and tells you that they have seen this, they can see that you need this healing, run away. Because if you don't ask, they don't need to be telling you that. So you already know that you're dealing with someone with questionable ethics. If you are a person who is a healing facilitator and you scan people without their knowledge, A, stop it, quit it. And 2, tell them about it. Come on. Then you might need to think about your own ethics.
Yeah.
Because that's not okay. If someone comes to you and they need help, you can come to someone and say, hello, this is what I do. I would be interested in talking to you if you're, if you would like to hear it. And if they're like, then leave them alone.
Yeah.
So there are so many scam artists out there, and a lot of times people who are just coming into their understanding of healing or they just got that Reiki certificate, they're like, I'm ready to go. That's why I like Reiki schools where you actually study and it takes time. They're not always like that. You can go get a Reiki master, certification in a weekend. Don't come at me, but I have opinions about that. You can learn what you need to know, but most Reiki schools that are, I would say, good Reiki schools, you're going to get that first one, and then you're going to go home and you're going to work with that first attunement, on yourself. Right. Okay, and then the second one, you're going to go home and you're going to practice with that attunement for a long time, not just like come back next week. And then before you get that last attunement, you have to practice your work, and hopefully you have someone who's guiding you and helping you, because things can come up, and if you're not prepared for them, or if you're energetically opening doorways, or if, I'm doing some Reiki, but what we have here is a spirit attachment, and I don't know what to do, you can find yourself in some hot water, and you can cause a lot more trouble for your client than they even need. So please know your stuff. Know your stuff. If you did get your weekend Reiki certification, go home and practice. Go home and practice before you turn around and selling it. That's not
a
okay.
big thing with anything that you do is practice. Practice.
Yes, especially if you're going to be... And some things, okay, you can learn it and then go do it.
Well,
and maybe if you do a bad job, it's fine, but you can hurt people.
Well, it's like being a surgeon. You're not going to suddenly go to school for 2 weeks and then go cut somebody open.
Exactly.
It is the same thing
It is
because
the
you're
same
dealing
thing.
with someone's energy system. And you can...
You're dealing with their health. You're dealing with their
you can mess them up.
psyche.
And emotional as well.
Yes.
Because I've done Reiki treatments on people, and they've had a lot of stuff come up. But I've done it.
And can you imagine if you were in a situation where you were completely unprepared for that?
Yeah.
That would be insane.
One of my first massage therapy clients, I was a massage therapist in the past, and I went to school for it. I was licensed. I'm working on possibly getting my license back, but we'll see what Mississippi says. It's the CEU thing that's got me tripped up. But anyway, I had probably my second or third massage client when I was out of school in private practice just totally melt down on my table. Mm-hmm. And we were told how to deal with situations like this, but there was a lot of stuff that was.
But you're a witch, so you were knowing some other stuff was coming up.
Yeah, well, at that time I wasn't.
Oh,
I'm talking. This is probably.
Oh, this is the before time.
30 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, that was the before time.
So I was dealing with energy, and I knew about energy, but she had a complete emotional breakdown on my table, and she ended up being fine. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot I could do for her other than just let her cry it out.
Let her talk it out. Because you unlocked something.
Yeah, I unlocked something,
we hold that stuff physically in the body.
It's in your. Yeah, it is physical. It's energetic. It's emotional. It's spiritual. I mean, there's a lot of layers to it. So if you really don't know what you're doing, don't work on anyone else until you've got some experience. Mm-hmm. A lot of hours of practice working on other practitioners is very, very helpful because then you can learn from each other. You need a guide. You need someone who knows what they're doing to help you. But reading and doing your own research is fantastic.
Yes, do that too.
I don't say anything wrong with that. But the actual hands-on working of it, you really need to practice.
You can't get it out of a book. You cannot get experience out of a book.
You really can't.
And what really, and you would think, okay, well, let me go get some experience by doing it. What you need is an experienced person to guide you and tell you these are the things that can happen. This thing happened. Okay, this is what you need to do. It's important when you're working with other people.
Right.
Very important when you're working with other people, especially if they're not practitioners, because they don't necessarily have the same language that you do, and they don't necessarily have the same experiences that you do, and they can often be very superstitious or just scared by things that can come up, and then it's going to be projected back on you. Right. So, and then you got a cross burning in your lawn. You don't want all that stuff. Nobody want to deal with all that stuff. But we were talking about scam artists. They're literally everywhere, and I really hate the ones that are, like stealing, copying social media accounts and things of actual practitioners. That pisses me off. And it's a really bad idea for them. Like, why would you do that?
It is. And they prey on people who are
vulnerable.
Very, very vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the part that pisses me off the most.
Yes.
They're not out to help anyone. They're only out
predators.
To help themselves, yeah.
Ooh, y'all stop that. If it's any of y'all, get off my podcast. Yeah. So, okay. So this is the last thing on my list. I feel like I've been running my mouth forever. I'm gonna look.
Me too.
What's our time? We're good. I don't know. I don't know what the hand signals mean. We got to come up with a code. Some things that you can do to generate health. We talked a lot about what happens when you're having a health crisis, or when you're experiencing disease, or when you're doing healing work. But some of the things that can have the biggest impact on your overall health is just the continued maintenance. Just like you take a shower at least ever so often, and
preferably.
you wash your hands and you try to eat healthy, and that maintains your physical health. Right. The same thing is true for your energetic health. There are you need to do your cleansing work. You need to do your purification work. You need to do your practice, because that will keep you fortified. It will keep just like there's physical bacteria and things that can infect you, you can have energetic infections just the same. So if you're keeping your shield strong, if you're keeping your aura cleansing work done, if you're doing your energetic and your spiritual maintenance, you're keeping your relationship with your spirits strong, then you're going to have less opportunities for disease. Now, let me just go ahead and say, I understand chronic disease is a different thing, or it's called chronic disease, and that's, again, your baseline. You know what I mean? Like, if that's your baseline, or if that's a constant struggle, energetic maintenance will help, but it's not necessarily going to cure you or make that go away. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that if you're experiencing chronic pain, it's because you didn't do your energetic maintenance. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that when you do have chronic pain, because I do, my mother does, like, I'm not a stranger to this. When you don't do your energetic maintenance, it is worse. It is worse. When you don't do your spiritual maintenance, it is worse. And sometimes that's all you can do is try to drag yourself to the altar and light that one candle. And I'm not saying your daily practice has to be insane. Adjust for where you are each day. Listen to your body. Be conscious of what's going on in your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit. Just be aware and try to keep that as balanced as possible. And you'll stay closer to your baseline. And those flares will be less impactful over time. Obviously, you're still going to have flares. You're still going to have bad days. You're still going to have low points. We're human. We're in a body. That's part of the cycle of being human. But you can recover more quickly. You can, you have the support to carry you through those times. When you let that stuff go, then that just compounds what you're already dealing with. So keep your, and if you're perfectly, healthy all the time and you don't have any sort of chronic illness, do your spiritual maintenance, and
I was about to say, you still have to do maintenance.
You still got to do it. It will keep you in that healthy zone. So you have to think about those things too. And a lot of times that's the first thing to go. And look, a lot of times with chronic illness, particularly depression and things like that, I say just like you take a shower, but you know what? Sometimes taking a shower is a big job.
Yeah, if you do that one thing.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do that day, that's okay.
Yeah. So, and it's the same.
We all have those days.
You have to energetically take that shower. The end. That's all I got.
Clean it up.
What you got? You do healing facilitation work. You do Reiki stuff on people.
I do. It's been a little while, but I do. I still use it on myself quite a bit. I use it on my animals, and I have friends and things like that I get my practice in on.
You've probably seen some crazy stuff. I've seen some crazy stuff because I do a lot.
Some crazy stuff.
I do
some really cool stuff too, though. But
I can do. But my the work that I share out in the world is more teaching. So I can do healing facilitation, but it's not my. That's not what I'm selling for people. But naturally, I will offer that to students and things like that in the community. But the primary healing facilitation that I do is ritual and ceremonial.
And she's good at it.
I am good at it. And I have seen some wild stuff happen. So, but I'm not going to divulge my clients' stories. But and I'm just like, every time it happens, I'm like, woo! Thank all the gods for my education, because I'm prepared for this instance.
Yeah.
And then I remember back to my early days when I was a wee baby, and God bless, I was so arrogant. I did some stupid shit. But I learned what not to do.
I think you were doing W-2 when I first met you.
By then, I had done so much stupid shit. I had learned a lot. Well, you got to remember, I started studying when I was like 12 or 13. Yeah, I was a little youngster, so I was already in my do stupid shit stage. But
she was beyond that when I met her.
But I was also doing stupid shit regarding witchcraft when I was a child, and I had nobody. Like I didn't know anybody to tell me, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
So I try to provide that service for people, because I just am like, man, my guides really were watching out for me, because I could have I was a
Go mess
dabbler
some
at one
stuff
time.
up.
This is why we don't dabble.
You don't dabble.
Don't dabble. All right. That's all I got. That's all I got.
That was good,
about the
though.
work of the healer.
Yeah, that was good though.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun topic to talk about. I could talk about that for like 1,000 years. This was just like an overview.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to talk for 1,000 years about healing? Not today. Not today, podcast world. But anyway, so thank you for listening to the show. Come to our Samhain ritual.
Yeah.
We will both be there.
Yes, we will.
And you can hear me run my mouth some more, which isn't that exciting. Luna says no. But anyway, thank you for watching the show, and I hope you have a wonderful fall and you're enjoying this wonderful weather. And blessed be.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you all so much for listening, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe through your favorite podcast provider. It helps us get our podcast in front of more listeners just like you. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can leave us a voicemail by clicking the link in the description of this episode, and you can always find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Crossroads and Cauldrons Podcast.